What's up, you guys? This is Rob from Guy Plays, and today on Robrants, we're going to be taking a look at one of the biggest secrets that DE has been hiding from all of us this entire time. However, I've got the balls to expose the fact that yes, Warframe is in fact a part of the Marvel Universe, and I have got all of the proof ready, willing, and able to go for you. However, before we get started, as always with a Robrants video, I do need to point out the fact that this is all just for fun. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Some people get their panties really in a big bunch about these ones, but I'm like, chill, okay? If we can all have fun. There's time for builds, and there's time for meta, and there's time for all of that later, but every now and then we gotta have something a little bit wacky and something a little bit enjoyable. Now, in addition to that disclaimer, there's like another, it's like a double disclaimer day. I'm not gonna go too heavily into any spoilers for Marvel's Infinity War, which recently just came out. We're gonna be touching on some of the Infinity Stones that are in that, but we are going to go into some spoilers for Warframe. So if you guys haven't finished all of the quests already, you might want to back up just a little bit, because I might be revealing some things that you guys don't know. However, Infinity War, you're pretty much safe, except for maybe some backstory on the stones. Regardless, let's go ahead and jump right on it. Okay, now I know that all of you guys are like, what the hell are you talking about? How are the Infinity Gems in Warframe? Well, let's go ahead and start off with the biggest, most in-your-face, most bright orange culprit. Yes, of course, it is Samaris and the Onslaught game mode. We don't see it any clearer than right then and there, because he is the keeper of the Soul Stone. Now, for those of you guys who are unaware about what the Soul Stone does, it allows you to control, manipulate, and alter living and dead souls. Where does this sound familiar? Of course, Samaris has his own little playground in the Onslaught, but if we take a look at the Simulacrum, we can go ahead and control these souls by telling them, okay, do you attack or do you just stand there stoically, right? We can go ahead and manipulate them. We can say, do we want a bunch of them? Do we just want a few of them, right? And then in addition to that, we can alter them. We can scale up their level. We can scale down their level legitimately. Samaris is the keeper of the Soul Stone, and he's allowing us through his power to use the Simulacrum and manipulate these souls. I think it's super, like, it's just blatant. It's just, he's just like the fucking keeper of the Soul Stone. There's no question beyond that. Now, that's exactly where my search started. I was like, oh, that's a very interesting thing. Let's go ahead and dig deeper. And guess what? I found so many cool things. So let's go ahead and jump into the next stone. So the next stone that I wanted to go ahead and tackle was the Mind Stone. And honestly, if we look at the in-game lore, there is no possible other controller than Hun Hao himself. Now, before we jump into it, I did want to make a little bit of a note that the Mind Stone was originally blue in Loki's scepter and then revealed to be yellow. So there's a lot of possibilities for what exactly the color of this stone is going to end up being, and we see multiples of that in Hun Hao. Now, if we look at what the Mind Stone can do, in the MCU, it basically animates a golem and gives them a lot of power, which of course is vision. Where else do we see this in Warframe but when Hun Hao uses his influence over the sentient drones? All of them are little fragments of him, and they all glow blue with the power of the Mind Stone. Legitimately, he's animating them like they did with Vision. They're all coming to life, and they're using them as weapons, which is basically what Vision is. But of course, it doesn't stop there, because the Mind Stone has influence, has power over people's minds. Of course, he was able to trick one of the smartest creatures, at least from my point of view, in the Warframe universe, the Lotus, into getting him the information for where she was keeping all of the Dreamers, right? In addition to that, he was also able to manipulate the Stalker into attacking us and, like, really fucking with his brain a lot, legitimately. And if we don't see it any clearer, if we jump into Octavia's Anthem, in there, he's literally taking his brain and kind of like taking over Suda, erasing parts of her memory. Legitimately, only somebody with the amount of power that the Mind Stone could take could completely manipulate all of these creatures, which is exactly what makes Hun Hao so powerful. because he's not just on the average level of any other villain like Alid V or even the Queens. No, he's on another threatening level, and that is because he controls the Mind Stone. And while we are on the topic of sentience, we're going to talk about the next stone, which of course is the Space Stone, and this one is or was controlled by the Lotus herself. Now, one of the interesting little tidbits that I actually grabbed while I was doing some research was that the Space Stone was originally purple, but is now in the MCU blue. So as you can see there, purple and blue, where are we getting that? Oh yes, the Lotus helmet itself. And this is actually very, very noticeable when we take a look at the Apostasy quest. When it starts, there is literally a portal on your ship. Along the edges, it's all nice and purpley, but on the center where it's glowing and pulsing, it is blue. And guess where it does? It actually takes you and transports you through space and sends you to Lua. What else is happening from there? You actually follow that orb in this kind of purpley and bluish path along the lines leading you to where the Lotus is, right? So all of these things are showing you that the Lotus is using the Space Stone to manipulate space to get you to where she needs to be. And if you think about it too, I mean, what bigger like visual of the Space Stone is taking the moon and fucking moving it into the void. He's literally moving an entire like astrological body and hiding it away by the use of the Space Stone. And we also see this at the end of the second dream when she magically appears on your ship. How do you think she got to her ship? We didn't see any like space pods that were like floating around in the moon. No, she just used the Space Stone to go ahead and open up a gap and be there at the perfect time to lift your little unconscious body up and put it in your seat, right? That's exactly what we see. And at the very, very end, I'm not sure if she used it maybe one last time or if the power resides in her or whatever she did, or maybe it was just ballast, but she also opens up a portal and she fucking disappears. Now, I don't really know if the stone that's still left in the helmet is the Space Stone itself, or if she took it along with her. I don't know exactly what happens. Maybe it's just some remnant trace energy from what we are seeing on our ship. But legitimately, she is showing us that she can travel through space and time. I mean, a part of me really questions exactly how the Lotus was able to get from whatever sentient space she was in before and move into our system, right? So it just all points down to the fact that this lady has the ability to travel, and of course, it's because she's using the Space Stone. Moving along, we have one of the most epic pairings. It is really, really kind of scary because of the fact that the Reality Stone can do so much on its own, but when paired with someone as powerful as the Man in the Wall, things get really scary. Now, as we've seen, the Infinity Gem itself is this bright red. And if we take a look at Thor, the Dark Universe, in there, it's like this black energy that spills out, and it's also got like these red lights that kind of flow amongst it. Now, we have never seen this more predominantly used than we do in Chains of HeroQuest, and of course, Kuva. So let's go ahead and tackle those one at a time. But before we start, let's review what the Man in the Wall is. Now, he is this entity that has been around and has been referred to as old as the stars. So his influence could be super, super widespread. Now, why would it be so widespread? Mainly because of the fact that he has control over the Reality Stone. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what the Reality Stone does, it can allow the user to fulfill their wishes, even if the wish is in direct contradiction with scientific laws, and can do things that would normally be impossible. They can create any type of alternate reality they wish. This is fucking scary. But of course, we see this shine through in the Chains of HeroQuest. Now, in the Chains of HeroQuest, we see these bloody messages on the floor like, blinded, she cast him out. You rejected him, he saved you. What is evil but indifference? Now, the question is that something that we're just seeing because our reality is being altered? Or is he altering the reality of someone or something else, manipulating what they see? And of course, we see that there with the Red Veil fanatics. Now, of course, Red Veil is supposed to be on our team Yet somehow they're fighting us and they're writing these weird fucking messages on the wall. It's almost as if though their realities has been swapped and they've been made to fight for a different master. Now, there's another thing that we see in the Chains of HeroQuest, which is obviously the manifestation of Rel. We can't attack Rel. We can't hurt him. Trust me, I tried in my playthrough. I was trying to get him, and he would not die because he wasn't real. He was a manifestation. That's all he was. And he even brought to life these Red Veil zombies. Like, we don't really have zombies in Warframe, but apparently here, all rules are out of the window. Why? Because the man in the wall has power over the reality stone. That's why the whole place was tinged with this red kind of lighting. Whenever we hear rap, tap, tap, it was red and black. Why? Because our realities were being fucked with by the man in the wall. Now, of course, the other place that we see this is in the manifestation of Kuva. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what's Kuva used for, it was actually used for the continuity rituals that would allow a user to transfer their mind to somebody else's body. Now, I mean, I don't really know if that's scientifically possible back then before they did transference, but apparently the Orokin were doing this for a long time, allowing themselves to live forever. It's almost as though the Kuva was allowing them to fulfill their wishes to be in a younger body. I think that is kind of like a historical thing through and through. Now, when we take the Kuva at the very, very end of the War Within, two things happen. If you drink it, man pops in your head and he's like, hey, good job, I got you. Where'd that come from? I mean, where? And if we don't drink it and we just try to control it or we throw away, he's like, hey, I see you. What are you doing, kiddo? Right? And then after we finish the Chains of HeroQuest, oh, now we have these manifestations that are just jumping into our ship. These freaking doppelgangers that are just there and appearing. It's this own alternate reality. So clearly, the man in the wall is there. He is watching, and he is manifesting his own reality using the reality stone. Alrighty, so when I was thinking about the time stone and where it could possibly be, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, there really wasn't many options, save one. And it's a character that DE actually introduced recently, which absolutely blew my mind, and I was like, how did I miss this? This is 100% where the time stone could be. Now, after Quill Onko had his run-in with the Unum, all of a sudden things changed for him. Almost as if maybe he ran into the time stone as an old Orokin artifact and it just completely altered his future. Now, with lines like consequence to consequence brings you to me. How did you know that I needed to take a shit, grab some food, and then I decided to just pop into Cetus and say hi to you, bro? How did you know that my consequences leaded me to you? But apparently you know these things because you were anticipated. Our interaction begins. How do you anticipate where I'm coming? I don't even know what I'm doing in the next 5 minutes, but apparently you know some shit. Ah, the history you will have. Bitch, how do you know about history? Have you been checking my Internet Explorer? I lied. It's not Internet Explorer. It's Google. We use Google Chrome. We don't sin like that in my house. But regardless, if he can really see into the future, maybe he could see 14 million different possibilities and only one of them working out quite correctly. I mean, look at this quote. Saya, if I could have shown her how catalogs of possible futures fanned out from the moment I could choose, could have chosen to stay. None of them ended well. None of them save one. This one, the one that I left. This future ends out so well for her, for Kanzu, for Cetus, as eviscerating a choice it was. It was the only one I could live with. Someday, I swear, will be borne out. It's kind of like he's living in multiple different times at the same time, because at the very end he was like, someday, I swear will. It's like he sees time on a grander scale, kind of like the way that Doctor Strange did. I mean, I'm not going to give any more like tidbits into the movie, but clearly this man's got perspective, just like the wielder of the Time Stone. And I mean, I know we could say a lot of things about the Orokin and them being able to keep themselves alive. I was even thinking that maybe Ballast could have it, and that's how he's been staying alive so long without continuity. But legitimately, when we take a look at the things that Anko says, it's very, very clear that he has been influenced by the Time Stone. And finally, we reach the last stone, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I have absolutely no clue where the Power Stone could possibly be. However, I do have some theories. Now, one of the big things about the Power Stone is it's able to, of course, amplify the strength that you have, and it's able to amplify the rest of the stones as well. Now, for me, I was kind of looking within our universe at first, and then I realized, what if it's not in this universe? I don't really see anything with an overwhelming power, unless of course it's the Warframes themselves, but legitimately, one force that we have not addressed, one force that we have not seen, but has managed to rise up from the Orokin Empire and challenge the Orokin Empire, which could have possibly been wielding some sort of a Infinity Gem as well, is of course the Sentient. Now, the Sentient were once subservient to the Orokin, but of course they rose up and they became one of the biggest threats to the Orokin Empire. And how could they possibly do that other than having something as powerful as the Power Stone to back them up? Now, clearly we don't have them in-game aside from, you know, the fragments that we have from Hunhao, but beyond that, we don't really have a big sentient force that is just here and that we're fighting. We may see them in the future, and we might be able to go ahead and judge from that point on whether they are wielding the Power Stones as well. But I do have to say that is one of the main reasons that they could have risen up and given them the balls to say, nah, fuck this, Orokin, we are out. I mean, when you have that much power behind you, do you really need to play ball with someone that's trying to keep you down? But that does about do it for me for now. Let me know what you think about these theories, because honestly, I feel like so many of these things line up. Now, clearly, I do need to put this out there. This is a theory video. I don't actually think that Marvel is teaming up with DE in any way, shape, or form. That's a little bit crazy to say, but come on! There is just way too many parallels going on here to ignore. Regardless, let me know about all of your feelings down in the description, not the description box, but the comment box below. Let me know if you think that I placed all of the Infinity Gems in the right spots. Where else could the Power Stone be? Let me know if you have any inklings or clues as to where that could possibly be in the Warframe universe. And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch yo Infinity Stones. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!